Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema each week, sees a couple of things, rates them out of 5, stays at home, sees some things, rates them out of 5, and then sees where our money has been better spent this week. And my name is Tosin. I am the host that is quickly realizing that cinemas need to hope that more people don't have kids, because that's just going to ruin their bottom line, because no one's going to be able to make it to the cinema. I'm based in a place called Bromsgrove near Birmingham, and joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sean Harris.
Hello!
And joining us somewhere in West London, walking down the road while trying to go get your train to go to Covent Garden, is a London correspondent, Holly Nestling.
Hello.
Yes, because Holly, that's just the kind of life that you live. Now, we have about 5 minutes. Yes, we have about 5 minutes before you have to get onto a train. So we are going to jump right in with our first cinema thing, which is something that you've seen, and that is Priscilla. So do you want to just tell us quickly about Priscilla? We'll give you 5 minutes. Go for it.
Okay, so Priscilla is about Priscilla Presley. It is based upon a book that she wrote in the 1980s called Something Along the Lines of My Life with Elvis. And it covers the time of her marriage to Elvis Presley. And before, from when they first meet, when she's 14 and he's 24.
Yeah,
which is creepy.
Yeah, that's one of those things that got glossed over in the Elvis story.
Yeah, so she was very young, and at the age of 17 ends up moving from Germany to the US to live with them. So it's a lot of a very, very unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
And it's all quite well documented that he got her using drugs at the age of 14, and it was fundamentally quite an abusive relationship, really, and he probably wasn't a terribly nice person, which I don't think is any kind of surprise. The film is made by Sofia, Coppola, and it is beautiful. It's very stylish. It really captures the flavour of the sort of the 1950s through to the 1970s when they got divorced. And the birth of Lisa Marie, and really the sort of the downward spiral of their marriage and of Elvis. It's a very well done film. It's a well acted film. And I say it's beautiful, exactly as you would expect, but it probably lacks a bit of substance.
Okay.
Because arguably there's not that much substance to be found, really. What's a very nice thing about it doesn't actually use very much Elvis music, which has which feels a bit incongruous, but actually works very well. So it's a well put together, enjoyable watch, but doesn't sort of capture your anything. There's nothing new to be told. It's a pretty film about something that's well known, worth watching, but not massively to be written home about, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because this is a film that a friend of mine went to see. I remember that a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about the difference in prices of cinemas between Romford in Essex and Central London and Leicester Square. And she went to see it, and she quite liked it. I think she was kind of like, oh no, that good film. Like she actually quite liked it. I'm trying to look up exactly what Cindy said, because this is Cindy Drennan, and but which I'll find in a second. But you're saying you think good film, beautiful but inessential.
Yes. Yeah.
Did the actor playing Elvis look like Elvis? Or?
Yeah, it was a fairly good match, and she looked quite a lot like Priscilla as well. It was well cast.
I mean, I did from the trailers. I did like the trailers. Sort of intrigued me because I did like the sort of fashions. And do the fashions change like with the time as she gets older and the relationships are older? So you get those types. Because sometimes that's what makes a film quite stylish. Sometimes I think.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. It is very stylish. The cinematography is good. The costumes are good. The acting is good. It's I got to the end and said that was good. But not to use the word good, but not my life has not been transformed by it, but I don't think I expected to be. I think I expected it to be a bit more than it was, and I can't tell you why I thought that.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it is Sofia Coppola, and that is kind of like, dreamy, sort of like beautiful looking things is what she does. I heard somebody refer to this as part of her sad girl films, which is yeah, she does tend to do. She lives in melancholy, shall I say, with Sofia Coppola. That a lot of her films are melancholic. They're not. Like, essentially, it would be weird to see her direct a Marvel movie. Let me put it that way. But
yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, sad girl seems about right. It's yeah, and it's, as I say, it's beautiful and lovely, but yeah, a bit.
Yeah,
it's insubstantial, but I'm not sure where it could have got substance from.
All right. Okay, so I found the thing that Cindy sent through to me. So Cindy Drennan, I told you I'll give you a name drop on the podcast, and she says, ooh, can I get a name drop on the podcast? There you are. You're welcome. She says, I would love that. I thought it was elegant, delicate, well thought out. It dealt with the subtle and sometimes not too subtle power plays very well. Good soundtrack, maybe to be expected. It wasn't Elvis though. So
yeah, I think that's all very fair.
All right, cool. So how many stars would you give Priscilla?
I would agree with all of those comments.
Yeah, how many stars would you give Priscilla?
3.
3.
3.
3 stars for 3 stars for Priscilla to kick us off, and bang on your 5 minutes as well.
Woohoo!
Bang on your 5 minutes.
And I am now muting.
Okay, cool. All right, so Holly's muting because I could hear the train in the background. And now we are going to go over to Netflix and Friends. And Shaun, there was something, because we had to go quite quickly, I have been really bad at figuring out exactly what it is you said you'd seen at home. That was it, Monarch.
Yes,
we are recording on Zoom. We're recording on Zoom, and you have a big, massive honking clue in the background, on your Zoom background, and I still forgot.
Yeah. So the last episode was Friday.
Yep.
So obviously I've been watching this because and we can't, our criteria is you've got to see the whole series.
If you're gonna watch a TV show, you have to watch the entire series before you bring it into the show, because it's not fair to put an incomplete story up against movies.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you want me to fire away?
Yeah, I'll say fire away. And also, I think you were about to say, and I think I cut you off, I'm sorry, that it's like after the fact that we have our review of Godzilla -1, which is on, so Godzilla -1 is on our YouTube channel. We got a review of that. Shaun did a review of that. It is now our most watched YouTube channel by about 1,000 views. Our most watched YouTube video by about 1,000 views. And it's still going. People are still watching it. People are still loving what Shaun said. So I think it's quite good. And I think one of the things we mentioned in that review was the difference between a Japanese take on Godzilla and a Hollywood American take on, what the heck? Sorry.
What happened there?
That was amazing.
I don't know.
Random.
All of a sudden, a whole bunch of balloons just showed up on my screen on Zoom, and what happened there? Anyway, never mind. So, the difference between a Japanese take on Godzilla and an American Hollywood take on Godzilla. So I think it's quite good that you with that going along, you now have Monarch to talk about the American take on Godzilla and that kind of world. So fire away. Tell us about Monarch.
Okay, well, after it starts off, so after the 2014 Godzilla, you get these, you meet a couple of people that their father, I'm trying to think of the name now, Hiroshi's father was the father of these 2 siblings, or one's as their step siblings.
Yep.
And they're going through the affairs of their father, of their deceased father, and they find all this interesting stuff about different facilities and titans and all sorts of things, and they recruit this girl who's good with the old computers and that, and she cracks into these files, and then there's sort of all this information come up, and then you flick back to like just after the war and the Trinity test and the Castle Bravo test.
Yeah.
And it turns out that this Castle Bravo test was to actually try and destroy the Godzilla.
Yeah.
So although it was a test, although it was advertised as a test and everything, so basically the whole story is it's 10 episodes, and they obviously get deeper into what's going on, and they become more intrigued, and you meet lots of different characters. Like there's someone who's high up in the government who's like, we close the Monarch program. What's quite interesting is you've got Lee Shaw. This Lee Shaw character is played by Kurt Russell,
Oh yeah, Kurt Russell.
That's in the later episodes, and then the when it goes back earlier in time, it's played by his son.
Yes, Wyatt Russell.
It was in Night Swim that I did last time.
Yes.
So yeah, so they yeah. So anyway, so that they become more investigative, and they get detained, but Kurt Russell says, you go escape. You've got to find these people, and they go, and they manage to escape, and they pop up into Alaska, and one of the Titans appears, and it's attracted to fire, and then it's just episodes like that, and it becomes more and more intriguing, and it's yeah.
So it's like a narrative story where the story carries on throughout the whole thing, or carries
on, yeah, and it flips between different years. So you like have, and in some episodes it'll go back to the early formation of Monarch. So you like, how it starts, originally gets formed, what happens, what the all the intrigue, all the politics, how they get their money, and then you come a bit later and you find out about the Hollow Earth theory.
Yeah, which shows up in Kong versus Godzilla, or is it Godzilla versus Kong?
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Kong. So Kong, and yeah, so basically that's it. So that's basically the story. Just different things happen in different episodes.
Yes.
Now, for me, for the whole, I found it because there's not huge amounts of Titans in it.
Yes, it's a lot more about the humans.
Yes, a lot more about the humans. There's a lot of chat in it, a lot of dialogue, and some of it got a little, like, oh, come on, move on. I want to see these creatures, But they do give you little in between all the episodes. They give you, little bits just to keep you hooked, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the last episode, they just, the last episode's what you want. Should we just say?
Okay, cool.
But the last episode's like, okay, here we are. You know what I mean? We've been we portal into the Hollow Earth. I'm not going to give too much away, but let's just say the final episode, it was like, yes, this is what we want. What we want. So you get, should we say, appearances of some of our favourite characters sort of pop up.
Yeah, because I think the full title is Monarch: Legacy of Monsters or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And because it's on Apple TV, which means that they're going to spend money on it, but still, it's still a TV show, and the TV shows have smaller budgets than the films. And to quote She-Hulk, Godzilla is expensive, or to sort of like paraphrase, putting Godzilla on screen is expensive. So I'd imagine that on a TV show, they're going to sort of like meter out, or they're going to sort of like ration how much Godzilla you get, or how much of things you get.
Yeah.
But so when you say that you finally get, because I think this is 8 episodes, isn't it?
It's 10.
10. Oh, good lord, that's a long number of episodes.
Long one. Yeah, it is a long, yeah.
Yeah, and so do you get bored? Okay, so let me put it this way, and
a little bit. Yeah. There are. Yeah, I mean, I think they could have condensed it a little bit more. So yeah, no, you're spot on there. You sort of worked it out. I think 8 episodes would have been ideal. Maybe even
6.
6 episodes would have been perfect. 6 episodes would have been perfect.
Yeah, in my head, I'm thinking 6 episodes is what I would have thought. But okay, so does the final payoff in the final episode, does that make up for all the?
Not. I suppose to a point, but I would say that a few times of watching because they would release two, I did find some a little bit too. Like you can sometimes lose concentration.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think that's the difference between going to the cinema and actually seeing something at home. It's easier to get distracted if your attention's not there. And there was a few moments where I was like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? There's a melodramatic moments where people are meeting each other, and there's like emotional moments which are pretty irrelevant when really you want to know about Monarch and what's going on, So a lot of melodrama, should we say, which I thought was unnecessary.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also think at the same time that it's if you're in the cinema, they have more respect for your time. They're not going to sit you down there for 10 hours and give and give you a whole bunch of nothing for a while. And Holly just typed in the group chat. Holly said that she was about to say that 8 episodes sounds better as well. I do think 10 is excessive. I really do think 10 is excessive. So how many stars for Monarch Legacy of Monsters?
Overall, probably just a 3-star. I would say a 3-star for Legacy of Monsters. It was, the moments when some of the Titans did appear, okay, but we should have seen more of that.
Yeah. You see, now this is the thing I always think, and going back to a comparison between the Japanese take on Godzilla and the American take on Godzilla, because from what I understand, in Godzilla -1, it's kind of like a similar thing where there isn't that much. There's not like Godzilla's not on screen the whole time or anything like that.
No.
But it's still engaging, and you still care about these characters and you care about the story. But in the American way, and I think you just want to see Godzilla.
Because like in some films, you can either get empathy or sympathy, or you dislike a character.
Yeah.
These characters, for me, I didn't find any of them particularly. Should we say? What's the word? Antipathy, I guess. To any of the characters, So I didn't think, oh, I really like that character, or I hate that character. They were just like,
you're just gonna get off the screen, get off the screen. I'm still waiting for them to make a Godzilla movie, and I think it's supposed to be because the way the American ones sell, they sell it on the bombast and everything like that, where it has no human characters in it. It's just Godzilla doing his thing. I want to see that film because I think that's what I came to see. All right, cool. So that is 3 stars for Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Right, and now we go back to cinema, and we're going to talk about The Beekeeper. Now, The Beekeeper, both Shaun and Holly have seen this, and I have a feeling that Holly has got her knife sharpened. And actually, I reckon, this is going to be interesting, because I don't know what Shaun would think about this, because it's Jason Statham, and Jason Statham, sometimes he does some good things, and then sometimes he goes and makes a remake of a movie that Shaun liked from the 70s, like The Mechanic, or something like that, or Killer Elite. And so tell me what you. Okay, so Holly, Holly, you type in the comments what you think. Shaun, you go away. Tell me about The Beekeeper. Tell me what it was about. What do you think?
Okay. So The Beekeeper, basically, it starts off this lady gets killed, and the neighbour who's a beekeeper gets arrested for
her death,
the possible murder, but it turns out that it's a suicide. So it's not, he's released, and then he finds out that it's this company has sort of robbed her of all her money. She was a member of a charity, and
she got scammed.
She got scammed, and he finds out that loads of other people got scammed. So he decides that he's going to take the revenge on people, because sometimes if you get a rogue queen bee, it has to be the workers will destroy it. If it goes bad, they have to, apparently, that's the thing. So that's what bees do. That's apparently so. They take out the bad ones. And also Beekeeper is also like a op name for like a ghost secret CIA agent.
Yes.
So basically, from that, Statham investigates, and he does his real manly stuff of, he's turning up at places.
He's grizzled. I'm going to kill everybody.
Yeah. So he's going to basically cause havoc, and he's going to get into this company that has been ripping people off and all that. And it turns out, I won't really give any spoilers about who the owner of this company is. Well connected, should we say? He's really, really well connected.
Yeah.
To someone who's incredibly high up. So basically it's Statham doing his stuff. He's a retired beekeeper, but there's this other beekeeper.
Yeah. It is short. I think you've given us much story as we need from this thing.
That's what we need. Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is a Jason Statham action movie, so essentially this film could just be called Jason Statham Kills People.
Jason Statham takes on the world and everything else, and just totally destroys it. And Okay, so I'm going to give you my thoughts now on this movie.
Yes, give me your thoughts on it, because a lot of the stuff that I've heard about this film is they're very dedicated to crowbarring in as many B metaphors as possible. But give me your
For sure. All right, it has some absolute ridiculous moments. It has some absolute stupid, almost Fast and Furious number 10 moments, which I found really, really, really difficult. And with some Statham films, like Safe, which I enjoyed, it's plausible. In this, I just think it's too unplausible. When you know the number of people that he takes out, and I have this argument about if something's plausible, then it's okay. But this was just for me. I think he would have been taken out like well before he was. I mean, I don't know what Holly thinks about that business.
Is this like Commando? You know the Schwarzenegger movie Commando. Is it like Commando levels of one man army?
Yeah,
kind of
similar
stuff?
to that. Similar to that. It's similar to that. It is really, really similar to that. Just excuse me, so
Okay, no problem. In the meantime, I will look at, because Holly is commenting as we're going along, and I think Holly just said, "I agree" to your last comment, comment about the sort of one-man army thing. A fundamentally ridiculous film, she says.
Yes, a fundamentally ridiculous film. Thank you, Holly. I thought you were going to praise this and go, what a masterpiece.
Well, she says a fundamentally ridiculous film, but she also does say, but she does like fundamentally ridiculous films. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it is, and I think she says, yes, that's it, and I believe that was in response to when I said that this could just be called Jason Statham Kills People. And she's like, yes, that's it. It was a bit gory even by Jason Statham's standards. Not that I mind gore, I don't. Then she also says, it's very Jason Statham. It was exactly what you would expect. He is really good at making a particular sort of film, and they're a joy to watch, but they are fundamentally S*** films. I don't know what you could possibly be talking about there.
That's it. So, well, all those... after all those comments, I have to say I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite fun. Ridiculous, you know, it was quite ridiculous fun. And so I'm not. Although I said all that about being harsh over ridiculous, I did still quite enjoy the film. I mean, it was pretty standard Statham stuff. There wasn't a lot going on, except for him, like, you know, doing his stuff and taking out 3,000 zillion people, and not getting a bullet. So I would give it a 3-star.
Give it a 3-star. How many? Oh, okay, so what accent do you think he was putting on this time? Because sometimes he tries to do kind of like an American accent, and it doesn't really work. So, like, what? So
I didn't even notice the accent.
Okay, Holly, type in the comments and let us know what you thought, what accent you thought he was putting on in this film. So 3 stars for The Beekeeper. 3 stars for The Beekeeper. And now we are going to go on to Netflix and Friends, and I'm going to talk about a film that I saw on Disney Plus, and this is a film called No One Will Save You. And it's the main thing about this film, and the headline about this film, is that there is no dialogue in it whatsoever. So start the timer. Yeah, there is no timer in this. There's no dialogue in this film whatsoever. You have Kaitlyn Dever, who plays a character. Oh, I can't remember her name, but she lives a very solitary life. You see her in a house. You see her like doing things by herself. She's making clothes that look like they're from the 50s and everything like that. She's dancing by herself. She is not really getting involved. And you see her. She sees a very solitary life. She goes into the town. Everybody in the town sort of like ignores her and just sort of shoots her dirty glances like, what are you doing here, and all that kind of stuff. There's a bit where she goes into the town and somebody sees her. She comes face to face with somebody, and she's about to say pretty much about the only words in the film, and somebody spits in her face. She manages to go, ah, and then someone spits in her face. And then this starts off looking like, quite frankly, a film a bit like, what's that name of that film with Daisy Edgar Jones, where she is in the marshes of, cannot remember the name of the film, but it starts to feel a bit more like one of those films. But then as you go along, it gets a bit crazy. And I feel like it is not a big spoiler to say it becomes an alien invasion movie. So essentially, in this film, it's an alien invasion movie. The aliens invade, they come in there, and it's all about this one woman trying to fight against the aliens and where the crawdad sings. it starts off looking a little bit like one of those sort of like Where the Crawdad Sings films, but then it becomes an alien invasion movie, and essentially, and it's full blown stuff. Like we're talking tractor beams, we're talking like, you know, creatures with bulbous heads and long limbs, and they all just sort of like, and how they're trying to capture everybody in this town, and it's all about this one woman's survival. So it's like a 90-minute survival, what's the word I'm looking for, nightmare of this woman while she's trying to stop herself getting abducted by these aliens. And as this going along, they are seeding in like things about her character and things about her life, and explaining why is it that nobody talks to her, or why is it that she lives on her own, or why is it that she seems very, very isolated. And it works very well because, bearing in mind, this is a film in which there isn't a word said. There is literally no word. There is no dialogue in this film whatsoever. It actually works quite well because it's just sort of like action set piece after action set piece after action set piece, and then with a little bit of like, you know, character work and everything like that, where they explain what goes on what she's going on in there. And I think it feels like they made this film as an experiment, where they were like, can we make a film where nobody says anything for a while, and let's see how long we can keep it going. Let's see how long we can keep going. Let's see how long we can keep it going. It leans into quite a few of the sort of alien abduction or alien invasion tropes, but this time obviously nobody's saying anything and all that. And I really like this. I thought it was quite good. The ending is a little bit divisive because the ending kind of like makes you go, wait, but if that's the case, and I think there's some people who will see the ending and will be like, yeah, good on her, yeah, and there's some people who are going to be like, no, that's just messed up. That is just messed up. But I thought it was actually really, really well done. I think if you've seen an alien invasion film, it's kind of like, imagine War of the Worlds, but everything is set in the farmhouse, in that farmhouse scene. And I thought Kaitlyn Dever was brilliant. Bearing in mind that she doesn't say a word throughout the whole film. You get exactly what's going on. She does it very, very well. I think it's a really, really well-made film. I would recommend that you go see it, and I would give it a 4 out of 5. But I think it's intriguing because it's kind of like a film in which they say nothing. There's no things whatsoever. There are some questions because there's no exposition. So they don't tell you, well, here are the aliens, and the aliens want to get this because their homeworld has been devoid of water. There's none of that in there. So there's some bits where you're like, okay, so what happens there? What happens there? Why does that happen? And I think they do a good job of sometimes telling you, sometimes just being ambiguous. But yeah, 4 out of 5 for No One Will Save You.
Wow.
And we have about 50 seconds for any questions.
Okay, yeah. So what do the aliens look like? Are they like...
The aliens look like aliens,
as in like the Greys, or as in
the Greys, the Greys.
Greys,
I think they it seems like they made a very fundamental decision to keep the aliens looking like you would expect aliens to look, like you know the stereotypical, like Paul, yeah, essentially like Paul, like the stereotypical 1950s. They've come to Earth and everything. That's exactly what the aliens look like. Yeah. I mean, there's some changes because some are bigger and some are smaller and everything like that. But the basic alien looks like a movie alien. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like you'd expect an alien.
Like you'd expect. I think they do a little bit like the way the aliens communicate it's a bit different, and the way they communicate it sort of raises more questions for the storyline and everything like that. But it's quite good. I quite liked it. And Sean, I would be intrigued to see what you would think if you could find Disney Plus.
Okay, I'll have to see. Yeah, I'll ask Dan if I can.
Yeah.
If I can lie on his bed and watch Disney Plus.
Yeah, because because I reckon that if you I would be intrigued to see what you think about it, because I think it's quite effective. But I'll be intrigued to see what you thought about it. Right, so 4 stars for No One Will Save You. And now, for probably what is going to be the most unique film that we're going to talk about this week, it is Poor Things. So Poor Things. Yes. This is Sean saw this in the cinemas. This was the film that I was trying to get to go to the cinemas before I realized, oh no, you're a dad of 2 people now. That means you don't get to do anything you like.
No, that's it. But you're housebound.
I'm pretty much housebound. It's like it's actually crazy trying to see. Oh, I could go there, and then something happens, and then somebody throws up, and then someone gets an ear infection, and someone like has a snotty nose, and it just kind of like I'm like, and that's what as I said on the WhatsApp group, I'm beginning to despair. I'm beginning to think, well, am I ever going to make it to the cinema again? But if I had, this is the film I would have chosen to see, because this is Emma Stone being talked about for all the awards for her performance in this film. And what I've heard about this film, Shaun, is that it's essentially about they put the brain of a baby in the body of a grown woman, and then things ensue. So tell us about this.
Okay, so basically this that's basically the story, is that and so it starts off. You've got William Dafoe, and he's played this great. He's pretty grotesque himself. He's obviously something. He's a surgeon. He's a real prominent surgeon, and he can do all these.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. He has like scars on his face and everything like that.
He's totally butchered. Anyway, so this girl and so got the babies, and as the film progresses, she gradually becomes a bit more coordinated. To start off with, she's very uncoordinated and
because she's pretty much a baby.
Yeah, pretty much a baby. Now, when he's a surgeon, he wants he gets this chap who's an assistant to come and observe what's going on with the girl, and make notes and all that. And then he's decided that he's going to marry her, because obviously she's a grown woman.
Yeah.
And then the guy turns up, that like a lawyer guy, and he sort of, they run off together, and they go.
That's played by Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo, you've got him. Yeah. He's like the lawyer, and he goes away, and gradually she begins to learn more things, and she picks up more things, and she as the film progresses. So after they get off this cruise, they've got no money. She basically meets a couple of people and sees this poverty thing, and Mark Ruffalo's just shed loads of money, and she gives it all away, and so he's got no money, and they end up a bit drop out. So they end up in Paris. So they've been all around this place, Rome anyway. They end up in Paris. She becomes a lady of the night to get money and all that, and quite enjoys it. Yeah. So and then she gets loads of money, and then she gets this card that the professor, the surgeon, is gonna die. Anyway, so that's basically the story. It's like the adventures of her and her learning and meeting people and discovering. So the way that I was thinking, the way I would sum this up is, it's 18 rated Wes Anderson movie, I would say. That's the way I would put it. It's very sort of fantastical, and there's some of the dialogue, and it there's a lot of sex and bedroom rollicks in this. A lot. We're talking practically through most of the film. It's especially when she's with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
It's basically all the way through, when they're on the cruise, and when everything else and that, and when she becomes a lady of the night. And
so when you say that, when you say a lot, you make it sound like a full blown porno or something.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. A Wes Anderson porno. So that's basically how I put it. I mean, there are some great characters in there. There's some great characters in there. I mean, she meets an old lady, and who's just as real potty mouth, which is really good. And some of the characters some of the characters in Paris are there's some great characters in this. There's some great characters in this. The visuals are pretty bizarre. It's like almost like paintings, with the skies and things, and it just reminded me. That's exactly, I would call this Wes Anderson porno movie. With the but the characters are pretty good. I quite like the Mark Ruffalo character. I forget what his name is called or whatever. But
he seems like a bit like they'll call him like a rakish cad.
A rakish cad. He is a rakish cad. He goes, oh yes, I've had lots of things come away like that, but he's sort of she has this. People sort of become really infatuated with her, and but she's very, very matter of fact. She's like, oh yeah, let's do this. Will you do exercises on the bed with me and all that? So she's got no modesty, if you like. She's got no and for me, really, this could have done with being a little bit shorter, I think, Okay. Again, you know, like sometimes these things. It's quite funny. The latest things are like, I think it could have been shorter. I mean, I did quite enjoy it, but it had lulls, and visually it was great. There were some great characters in it. It was good acting, but it wasn't like wow. It wasn't like wow.
Yeah.
So for a Wes Anderson porno movie, I'm going to give this one a 3-star.
A 3-star. So because the thing is, this is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I believe that's how you say his name, and he is known for essentially being weird, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because he did Lobster. That was the Colin Farrell movie where if you don't find your soulmate by a certain time in life, you turn into a lobster. He did The Favorite. He did, and he does not do straightforward. I think
no.
He does not do straightforward, and he sounds like he's the right kind of person for this. I mean, we had superfan Nina, so a friend of the show, Nina Ramtula, and she went to see this film, and she just sent me a message saying, "I'm seeing Poor Things tonight. I'm scared." And I was like, yeah, with that director, I think you should be. I think quite frankly, I think going into a Yorgos Lanthimos movie being scared is probably how he would want you to feel about it. And her 2-line review of it is good, but very, very strange. And she says, I strangely love it. And yeah, and I feel like this is the kind I really want to see this film. I really want to see this film, not just because of the Wes Anderson porno idea, because it's a kind of film that sort of it's remember when Mother was released, and it's the kind of film that I think will split people down the middle. That would be like, is it good? Is it bad? We don't know. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it both at the same time? And I want to see it, especially because people have been the thing that worries me is that people have been raving a lot about Emma Stone's performance, and usually when people rave about something like that, I end up disappointed because almost as if like I go in there and I'm like, what? So, but I do want to see it because it's a kind of film that everybody is talking about. Everybody's talking about the moment. Oh my God, Poor Things. Oh my God, Emma Stone. Oh my God, this and everything. And I want to see what the fuss is about. So it will be key to see that. But you say 3 stars for the Wes Anderson porno.
Yes.
I wonder why they didn't put that on the poster. It's like a porno directed by Wes Anderson. 3 stars. All right, cool. And now we go back to Netflix and Friends, and I am going to be talking about an animated show on Netflix called Blue Eye Samurai.
Ooh.
Yes, Blue Eye Samurai. So, Holly says she's going to be watching Poor Things on Sunday. And Holly, you go there. You watch Poor Things on Sunday, and then next week you can come back and you can tell us exactly what it is that you think and what your take on Poor Things is. Because I think that let me pause the timer what I was going to, because I think that there are some things in this film that there's themes in this film that I think hits different for women than do for men. Like, I feel like there's some sort of things like, because I know Shaun, you're not particularly into the philosophical, what does this whole thing mean of the film or anything like you're kind of like the entertained kind of thing. I know, like Holly, you might be a little bit more into the look at this, that was a comment on the patriarchy. So I would be interested for you to actually have a look at this film, and we'll hear your thoughts about it next week. But let's see. What was I going to talk about? I was talking about Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix.
Samurai, yeah.
Yeah, so Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. Shaun, I think that this would be at least partly right up your street. Because this show starts off telling you a little bit of the history of Japan. And it says that in a time period, I cannot remember what century it is, there was a bit where Japan closed its borders and kicked everybody that wasn't Japanese out. So kicked all of the white people out of Japan. But the story about this is a one character who is a samurai that you meet at the beginning of the show, beginning of the story, voiced by Maya Erskine. And this character is the child of one of the white people who was in Japan and a Japanese woman. So this child grows up with blue eyes. So obviously, once they see the eyes, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a monster! You're not really Japanese!" All that kind of stuff, and has that throughout their whole life. And even when they're kids, like you have the scenes where like you have kids chasing this other kid and throwing stones at them and trying to beat them up for being a monster and all that, and so like, why don't you just kill yourself? Because you don't really have a place here. So this, it ends up growing older and in a very kind of, I think it's kind of like a sort of Japanese storytelling trope. I'm not sure. Is it Bushido? Bushido sort of like stories or something?
Bushido, yeah. Shinto, Bushido, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's like the whole thing where they end up with working with a person who makes swords. So there's this blind guy who makes swords and makes like, that everybody comes around the land wanting a sword made by the person that they call Sword Father. It's like everybody wants this sword. Ends up working as an apprentice there, and then works as an apprentice and trains. Everybody comes in there to get a sword, learns something from everybody that comes to get a sword, and then in the end, the whole driving thing of this story is, I want to go out there and I want to go find the man who made me and find the man who abandoned me and kill them. That is, and so the whole thing becomes a quest about, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to find the white, because I heard that there's 4 white men left in Japan. There's 4 white men left in Japan. We need to find all these 4 white men and kill them, because I'm going to find the person who made me, a monster, get rid of him. And there's 8 episodes, and it just follows through the whole thing, follows through the quest of how we're going to do this, what we're going to do this week. And obviously there is there is pretty much like this is set in feudal Japan, so I'm not so sure if they were called Yakuza then, but like whatever, the gangs, the organized crime gangs who are like, okay, cool, this person coming, go kill them. And every episode there's like, one person trying to go there, get the blue-eyed samurai, and largely failing. Largely failing. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of limbs flying around. But something that I like about you is that this character is not Jason Statham in The Beekeeper. So this character does not escape unscathed from a whole bunch of these things. That there's large swathes of episodes that are dedicated to recovery after a fight. It's like recovery after a fight. There's characters like she meets a character that has no hands, that ends up becoming almost like wants to be an apprentice, just so follows her around and says, oh yeah, master, can I do this? Oh, I'll be your apprentice. Teach me how to do this. I want to be a great samurai like you. And everything like
Toast.
Yes.
Is it very like adult in the way of like, is there like the slashy blood, like the blood spattering and stuff?
It is very adult.
Proper manga stuff, yeah.
It is very adult, yeah. There is blood everywhere. There is spray. There's fountains. Some of the stuff, yeah.
Oh, that sounds right up my street then.
Yeah.
I like that sort of movies.
Yeah, essentially, you know the crazy 88 scene in Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, yeah. I was thinking when you were saying about swords, I was thinking about the Hanzo, the Abu Hanzo swords.
Yeah, exactly. And so you know how in Kill Bill, so obviously Tarantino he made it as almost like a love letter or like a tribute to, I think, a lot of Asian cinema, especially Japanese cinema. So there's all these tropes. Yeah. There's all these tropes of going there to go get a Hanzo sword, going there to go get the training, going there to, and they're apparent in this as well. There's the whole sort of like geysers of blood that come out and all that. The action is for something that's animated. The action is actually really, really, really well done. The action is like you can see what they're doing. You can see they've painstakingly animated these fight scenes, so you can see what's going on. You can tell what's going on. You can tell. Good. Yeah, so it's actually really well done. The problem for me is, and I was enjoying this the whole way through, the problem for me is the end. And one of my bugbears at the moment is stories that don't end, or stories that don't have a satisfying ending. And the way they end it, it ends in a very kind of like, what happens next? Come back for season 2, and I hate that. I'm like, okay, fine, have a season 2. I don't have a problem with that, but finish the story you're telling me.
Oh, yeah.
Finish the story you're telling me before you go on to something else, and don't try and tell me come back for the next thing. No, just finish the story you're trying to tell me right now. And the end really did infuriate me, because it's a bit like, I remember when watching Silo, I got to the second to last episode and I was like, they're not going to finish this, are they? They are not going to finish this story. They're going to try and drag it out. And the way they try and drag it out and what they try and promise that is coming next does not intrigue me. It does not intrigue me. So I might things will have to change for me to come back and watch season 2. But I really, really enjoyed 7 out of 8 episodes of this. I was like, this is good. This is great. I like where this is going. It has a brilliant cast. It has Kenneth Branagh playing, voicing one of the characters. It has Masioka from Heroes. It has it's a good cast. There's great stuff in there. There is some stuff that might actually have some themes, because there's a character you meet who's kind of like a princess and is being sold into marriage, so to say, to sort of like do like a political alliance between her family and another family. She actually gets a storyline that I think is quite intriguing, and how she goes about it and how she decides, I'm going to try and get some agency for myself. So I would give this up until the final episode it was a 4. I think I would have to give it a 3, because this last episode and where the last episode goes really, really did annoy me.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. You see, that's funny, isn't it? Because, like, back to Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the last episode really dragged it up, yeah. Yeah, dragged it up again, you know. So,
yeah, but with this one, cool. I think the last episode drags it down a bit. It's just kind of like, I know maybe it's a Japanese theme, because I do know that there's things like Bleach and manga, or anime rather, and never-ending stories is part of it. But this is kind of like, it's very anime influenced, but it is an American production. It's sort of like an American French production. So, but I'm like, yeah, don't give me the never-ending story. Finish the story you're trying to tell me. So that's it. That is it for the films that we're going to talk about this week. And now all that is left to say is, who do you think has won this week? Is it Netflix or is it cinema?
I've got a feeling that Netflix has probably picked it this week, because I think one of them got a 4. So I think cinema is pretty average, and Netflix, I think, got 1-4. So I'm going to say Netflix. They're pretty close, though.
Yeah, they're pretty close. I mean, what I'll say is that it has not been a bad week. There hasn't been anything that we've seen that we have hated. There hasn't been a night swim, for instance.
No, that's true.
There hasn't been a night swim, for instance. But it's been a good week. It's been a good week. But, Shaun, you are right. No One Will Save You has just sort of pipped Netflix and Friends ahead with a 4-star. So we have an average of 3 in cinema and an average of 3.3 Netflix and Friends. Well done with Netflix and Friends. Well done. And yeah, but it's only because I couldn't get to the cinema because a kid pooped. That's why. If not, but we will see what happens next week when Holly sees Poor Things.
Yeah.
Right. If you are listening to us on any sort of podcast platform of your choice, please do leave us a review. Please do get in touch with us. Netflix via Cinema on Twitter, Netflix via Cinema on Facebook and on YouTube, and let us know what it is that you think. Get in touch. Tell us what your thoughts are about all these different films. It will be great to have a dialogue with you. Unlike in No One Will Save You, where they decided no dialogue for anybody. Right. So until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. And I'm sure it's a goodbye from
me. I'm here. I have signal back. It's goodbye from me as well.
Yes, and a goodbye from Holly.